Well, here we go. The start of another amazing week. I say amazing, but I know, man, I know for some of you guys, it is just so challenging. And I tell you what, that's, the thing I love about the Help a Teacher Facebook page is just so many stories, man, just inspiring. That's why, I scroll through every day just because you guys inspire me and just leaving your quotes and your comments. And it's awesome. I cannot thank you enough for all you guys, for all that you're doing for your kids and for your fellow teachers in the hall and in the classroom, in the class Zoom. And I know some of you are full all the way back with kids and then some online. In my kids' school, it's 100% online. So they're going to go online all the way through the mid-October, I think. And then kids will have a choice on whether they want to come back, and they have to stick with that decision for a number of weeks, and then they have to redecide if they want to come back or stay home. So it's just a mess. But you know what? Here's what I love about it. Honestly, what I love about it is just all the effort that those teachers are putting forth, just trying to connect with kids and continuing to make a difference and be the one that is there, be that one solid, firm thing in their life that they can count on amongst all this craziness. All right. Help a Teacher Facebook Live every Monday night. Here we go. Episode 43. And just like the last few weeks, we're going to give away some money. How about that? So we're going to give away a $50 Amazon gift card tonight. And what we do is we look through the comments. So feel free to comment, and we'll look through those comments, and we put all the names into the randomizer. Did I say that right? Randomizer. And then it spits out a name, and somewhere to the half towards the end, we'll call it out, and somebody will receive a $50 Amazon gift card. All right, so here we go. Let's get it going, man. So I don't even know how we met. First, I have to think. I want to ask her. She'll know. So on tonight's show, we have Lauren Almanza, and she is one of my fave principals on the planet. She's currently over in Grange ISD in Grange, Texas. And you talk about just an amazing all-star cast, the crew that she's put together over there, and it's just awesome. And so let's bring her in. Let's talk about it. Here we go. Help a Teacher Facebook Live every Monday night. Lauren, how are you doing? Look at you. You have your little nerdy glasses on for us. Very nice.
I do. Hello.
All right. So, hey, how long have you guys been back in school?
We came back August 20th, in person and virtual, all at the same time.
You are doing it. Look at this. People are already chiming in. Hermes homies in the house. Tracy, yeah. Yeah. And so here, what I love is, just keeping up with it. That was so much fun being able to keep up with you and your crew all through the end of the last school year, and just watching what you guys were doing, just trying to figure out how to stay connected and in touch with your kids. It was just amazing.
And we were quite thankful for you, because it was the highlight to end our week on a good note. Our Friday time with you was the highlight to the week, to celebrate and end on a positive note, to energize us for the next week of unknown.
Well, here's what it was is, what I loved is, I don't know, just knowing that was on the schedule and waking up, and knowing it's Friday and think, all right, Hermes homies, here we go. Let's get the day going. And hey, look at Valerie's in the house. And hey, Valerie just started her dissertation. I saw she has the title page done. So so good for her. Hey, so as you guys came back this year, and I know it's such, for you, the foundation of all that you guys have going on over there is creating this family for your kids. What was the theme coming back? Tell me what you guys were talking about. Tell me what you were talking about in terms of what your kids needed, all of that.
So our theme for the year, I'm pretty big on themes this year, was Game On. I had it picked pre-COVID, so it was kind of ironic that COVID happened and that was already our theme. We are in the middle of construction. Phase 1 did finish in January, so our kids and teachers moved in January, and then they left at spring break, not knowing that they were only in there for 2 months, and then home for several after that. And now phase 2 is in the works. So we're hoping in December to finalize and be in.
Yeah. This is, And tell me, overall, compared to all the other school years, is there a different feel to this year? Does it feel weird? Is it off? Tell me about it.
Everything, but our kids are amazing. Like day one, first grade was walking to PE, very first block of the day. They have specials. They're walking back, and I was like, "Ooh, what's this magic?" Like the entire class is lined up, pretty much ducks and rows with bubbles.
Yeah.
Immaculate line, and that doesn't happen first grade day one. Kindergarten, pre-K, we're walking down the hall. We had 2 criers in the entire hall, and we didn't get to do our normal parents walk in, so that was tough because that changed everything, and it's making sure that everybody got where they needed to be. But our teachers are amazing. They adapt, they change. So they had special tags that made every kid know what color was for what teacher, what class they were going to. So we walked them all into the rooms without parents. So that was quite different for us because we welcome parents and want them to be a part of this. And, we can't do that right now.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. If you really consider all the time, especially for those families that did quarantine, or I should say were able to do that, if mom or dad was able to stay home and they had all that extra time with their kid. And then going back, I thought, man, it might be just even because for some kids, it's traumatic. Saying goodbye. It's traumatic, watching mom walk away. Where are you going? But I thought this year, it might be even worse. I mean, just even more traumatic, but it sounds like you guys had it figured out over there.
Well, and I will say, there are some silver linings. We do our meet the teacher night, and we had to do sign up genius. So, we limited 10 people at a time to go to the 7 different teachers. So then we were limiting space every 15 minutes. So the teachers knew who was coming at what time. So it was actually more personable, more intimate. They actually got to put a face to the kid's name, get to talk to the parent more so than the rush and the crowd and people watching you waiting for their turn per se. So,
yeah,
there were some good things that happened with creating that environment.
And are you guys doing anything special this year in the coming weeks where, because I know like it seems like every week there's something going on at elementary school where it's, cookies with grandma and, all that stuff. With like, I know where it's impossible to welcome everybody back to campus like that. Is there anything you guys are doing that's different this year you haven't done in the past?
Well, right now we can't allow visitors in with the exception of if they're coming in for a 504 or an ARD. And even then we're encouraging and trying for Zoom. So with that aspect, bringing parents in, it's kind of hard. We're still trying to work ideas because we are Title I school. So we still have to have those family involvement activities. So it's how do we engage away from school, but still follow all the protocol and make what needs to happen.
Yeah. Hey, I'm curious, you're one of those folks that it seemed early on in your career kind of got bit by the leadership bug and you were doing amazing stuff in your classroom. And I guess you just want to have more of an impact and not just on kids' lives, but also teachers and their kids. At what point in your career did you start thinking about administration and school leadership and all that stuff?
For me, it was, I'm a very big believer in timing is everything. And we didn't have kids yet. My husband is a coach, so we've moved a few times. And I said, if I don't work on my master's now, it's never going to be happening. And so I committed to doing it. At the time, I was teaching RTI in the morning and pre-K in the afternoon. And then they said, well, you finished your master's. Let's do you AP and RTI. And then it just kind of fell that way. I didn't see, as soon as I finished my master's, that my plan was to dive in head first, but it's how it worked out.
Yeah. And so if you think further back than that, I'm curious, when you were in middle school, elementary, high school, did you have this vision of being a teacher and all that?
I did. I am your pretty much stereotypical girl that wanted to be a teacher. I played school every chance I could. Senior year, I was actually named, selected by my peers that I was going to be the one to move back to Fredericksburg and teach at the elementary school, which ironically I did, but at the primary school. So yes, it's always been who I am. I love kids. I love making a difference with them. I mean, I couldn't imagine doing anything else.
Yeah. And so, so are you saying that once you in Fredericksburg, Texas, did you go back and teach in the district from which you graduated?
I did.
Okay, let me get into that. So did you have were some of the same teachers that you had, were they still there?
They were.
Oh my gosh. And so you come walking back in and was it like I knew it? It was just a matter of time before you got back here.
Yes, and Fredericksburg at the time, they had auto reading, our time to read with others. So then for that program, other schools do it like 1-to-1. So we would go down at lunch and actually have a buddy that we would read with all year. And so I stayed, and I'd come back during holiday breaks to check on my kids once I graduated.
That's awesome. You know, I went back and I student taught at the high school from which I graduated, and those teachers looked traumatized. Like when I walked in, they're thinking, "Oh, you've got to be kidding me." First, wait a minute. He actually went to college, and second, he's back, and third, we're going to put him in front of kids. There's no way. But it sounds like for you, that was just kind of the expected, natural path of things. Did you have parents that were educators?
At the time, no, but my mom was in the Army and she was a medic. And so she did end up becoming our school nurse. And since then, she has gone back to school and she is now the HOSA teacher at Fredericksburg.
Really?
Yes.
And for people around the nation, tell them what HOSA stands for.
Health Occupation Students of America.
Yeah, that is, man, that's getting into the stuff I love, and anything into that starts, leaning into the CTE and the career and technology education programs. Man, I've just seen so many amazing, amazing educators in that program where kids are like, that because when kids sign up for it, they want to take that. They're so passionate about that. And, man, I just love the work that they do. Let me ask you this. Does your mom love it?
Oh, yes, because she's getting to blend her passion with teaching. And, not everybody can say when they graduate, she's getting them jobs already. They have their CNA, they have their pharmaceutical. So they have, jobs lined up, or they continue their career and they know that that's truly what they want to do in life.
Yeah. I see a lot of people commenting, talking about how they also went back and taught at the same district from which they graduated. And here's the thing, like, the further east you get in Texas, the higher the percent. Where if you go all the way, if you start getting out to like Port Neches, Groves, and all those places, like where you're almost to Louisiana, I'm talking 60, 70, 80% of the people actually graduated from that high school that teach at the high school, teach at the middle school, elementary. It's pretty cool. I mean, you talk about school spirit and tradition. It's awesome.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So, all right. So for you and your teachers, when you guys all came back and you knew you had this just monumental challenge ahead of you, talk to me a little bit about what that feeling was like when you guys finally, because you were all distanced for some time and you finally came back, and which is kind of weird because you're supposed to mask up and do the distancing thing and everybody just wants to hug each other. And there's probably some violation hugs in there, I'm sure. And, did you just kind of go all in and say, okay, man, this is going to be really challenging, but let's get after it?
Yes, and it's intentional celebrating. We celebrate that we got to be back in the building. So we ended up doing confetti poppers outside just to celebrate being back. But, we had to follow. My school nurse said, "No, you do not blow these up. I need to blow them up with an air compressor. These are not your respiratory droplets going out in space." And then our first day back, it had been so long being around people. Our focus, yes, we have to go over COVID protocol. But in addition to that was just getting to talk to each other and being around each other. So we try to incorporate some bingo because that is something you can do social distance, but still just enjoy for morale. And then we played a rock, paper, scissors tournament.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah. It's exciting stuff, man. And so, and see, that's the amazing thing that I find. I think that's the difference in culture when all these campuses and the communities I visit. When you have those, what I have found is that COVID has exaggerated and amplified what was already in place. So if they already had like a really challenging culture and things were stagnant or worse, where it just it was unhealthy and toxic, COVID came in and everything became worse. But what I've also found is when you had a culture in place where it truly was a family that comes together for their kids, they just found a way, and it's almost even better than it was before. There's something about when people go through a challenge together and they come out on the other side, they're even more close and more connected.
Okay. You're living through trauma.
Yeah.
You make it through.
That's the interesting thing. I think I got to tell you, honestly, I think a lot of times in education, we might maybe on occasion overuse the word trauma, but not now, not in this situation. Because if you think of all the kids all that they've been through, where, there's no closure, this relationship they have with their teacher and all that they've been through in the summer. And some of them were at home when the parents weren't able to stay home. And we have kids taking care of kids and raising kids. And then same thing with teachers and when this family goes through that trauma together, there's something about it when they work through it together, they come together and just magical, beautiful things happen in that relationship. Yeah. So for the rest of the school year, are you guys still excited? So tell me some things that you have coming up. Anything?
We actually, we don't want to drop everything that we had in place. So we have lots of things coming in for facilitated planning. So, teachers wanted it really badly last year and we planned for it. We made it happen. And now it's almost one more thing because they're teaching in person, they're teaching virtual, and now they're out of the classroom to go plan, which they want to do, but it's a hard balance because there's so much extra going on. And then we also are with Melissa Leach doing some guided reading training. So then that's coming in, and we've got our Sidelets coaching coming in. So it's just a lot of busy adding in all the normal because you don't want to drop what you've started either.
Yeah. I mean, it's just that feeling, you've already had that foundation in place, and it's already solid, and just, trying to build upon what you guys have already established. And look at Stacy even chiming in, still loving you all the way from Brazos. How about that? That's cool.
Say not to sidetrack you, because you did say you wanted me to tell how we met. She does kind of give that away. You were visiting our campus when you were doing some presentations nearby. And so you came in to pop on in because you knew our superintendent at the time,
Yes.
Brian Thompson, and you were doing a presentation. You were doing your Be the One. And if you were a member of the Texas Rural Schools Association, you could send so many people to this conference.
That's right. Did you go? Did you send people?
I sent people.
All right. You should have gone, man.
Invest in your teachers too.
Right. That's what I always say. Invest in your best, bring them back. They'll impact the rest. That's kind of the formula, man. Yeah. And that was a fun day. Yeah. And so that's a great district. So, I mean, that's right. Here's the thing. It's got to be a hard decision when you go from one district to another like that, because I mean, it's a great place. But then again, so is LaGrange.
Oh yeah. Every campus I've been at is amazing. And if I had to do it again, I would go everywhere I've already been. I started in Brackettville, Texas, which most people have never heard of. We are 32 miles from Acuña, Mexico, and it was a wonderful place. People were good to me. I couldn't imagine starting anywhere else. Every teacher was my mentor.
Yeah.
And my principal, my first year, she said, "You're going to be a principal. You will be in my shoes." So year 2, she had me mentoring and doing teacher observations and going in classrooms. So, I mean.
All right. So how did you, so was that your very first teaching gig? Was in Brackettville?
It was.
How did you end up way down there?
My husband is a basketball coach. That was his first head gig.
Yeah, that'll do it. That's the coach and wife thing.
Mm-hmm.
You just kind of, it's like waiting for dominoes to fall, and then coaches start moving positions, and here you go with them.
Yes. LaGrange is the first place I moved for me. I didn't follow him.
There you go. And so how many years were you guys in Brackettville?
I was there 3.5 and he was there 5.
All right. And then, so I started, and can you recall what size of a district that was? Was it like a 1A, 2A, 3A?
I believe it was a 2A, but I think numbers have kind of changed as we've progressed.
So for me, I started in a tiny school too. And you're right, man. I absolutely loved it. It's simply because, I mean, the whole town was school was the town.
Yes.
Everybody was so invested. Every community member, everybody was at the basketball game, whether your kid played or not, doesn't matter. And to have a basketball game, you had kids that had to work in the snack bar, kids had to be in the pep band, kids had to be, and that's what I loved about it is that it's a built-in community within that family already, man. It was amazing. And besides that, they were so forgiving, you know. I don't know what your experience was, but for the larger districts, they're not very forgiving. If you're going to start out in a giant suburb district, they're not very forgiving at all. But in those little tiny towns, they certainly are.
Oh, it was crazy because, that was my only teaching experience outside of student teaching. And, there I have a teacher guiding me the whole time. So I never had any discipline. I didn't know what a write-up was. We didn't have anything like that. And then I go to my next school and they're talking about ISS, and I had to call the principal and I said, did we not have kids that got in trouble? Like, I don't remember any of this. And she said, when you had an issue, you just called home, or I called home. Like,
Right.
It got fixed.
Yeah. I remember I asked my principal, hey, what night is open house? I don't see it on it. He goes, open house. He goes, son, everybody in town went to this school. They had the same teachers. You're the only one nobody knows. Why don't you go visit them at their house? Yeah, man, it's a whole different deal. But I mean, I certainly loved it. And so how many years have you been a principal?
This is year 6.
And so as going into your 5 full years of experience, and I'm sure when you got into this thing, you were certainly not planning on a global pandemic. But, now that we're here and going into year 6, if you can think back, what has been some of your greatest lessons that you've learned? Like how are you different today since when you first started as a school leader?
I would just say how you react to different things. My first year's principal, and even as AP, a parent would call and say their kid didn't get home off the bus. And so, that's panic. That's my kid. I have lost this child. You automatically start thinking the worst, as those calls have happened. Now, when they call, it's like, well, they might be asleep on the bus. Did brother see them? The bus is running probably 10 minutes late. Let's give it a few minutes. And so it's just those little approaches that you just change your complete mentality on some of those things.
That's funny. That's why I wouldn't, because I'm panicked, man. I'm panic stricken on everything. That's why I wouldn't have made a very good principal. Yet, like everything you're talking about, like I would just go into meltdown mode. Oh my God, we lost a kid.
Oh, it's very real. But after it happens, it's not that you get desensitized. You just process through logistics of what truly could have happened versus the jump to the worst immediately.
Yeah. Hey, I'm wondering, do you have any first year teachers on your campus?
I do.
Tell me about that work with them. How's it been going because this is a crazy time to start.
We have some that are first year, so they got to have, a couple weeks of student teaching and then it disappeared. Luckily, that teacher is from Grange, so she kind of knows the ropes, and her team is a very supportive team, so they've walked her through each thing. We do have somebody else who's alt cert, and I was meeting with her supervisor this morning, and I was like, she's not a first year teacher. Like, how she came about, I don't know. This is not normal. And so just the positivity, and I think attitude is everything. And, right now is still the, are we in survival mode, or is the dust starting to settle and we can function? So we've got great staff and great teams to support that. One of my teams, they go through, and every day they were meeting about everything. And one of the teachers were like, we don't need this. And then elementary is different. So then we experience some of those things. They're like, oh, now I see why you had us go through these things step by step.
Right. Yeah. I think, I always talk about the first year teacher syndrome and the challenges that we have. And I know it's a little bit different in a smaller community, but, in those larger elementary schools, and even in middle schools and especially high school, you're just kind of thrown into the classroom. And, good luck, man, and hope for the best. And I know some schools that have like a mentoring program where that basically means you're going to have lunch with an older teacher once every 2 weeks, but I think what they really need is somebody by their side checking in on them between every class, popping their head and, hey, you doing okay? And just helping and guiding, and I'm not just talking about delivering the curriculum. I'm talking about with balancing their life and their personal life. And in just helping. And, I think we tend to forget just how overwhelming the teaching thing really is.
And now you've doubled it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
They've essentially got two preps in a prep, that it's a beautiful juggling act. And that's the beauty of teachers. They give their all every day, and they want to do their best at all times. And so, it's how you support that and remind them that it's okay. We are still human.
Yeah. Tracy wants to make a distinction between, I'm not talking about older, I'm talking about a seasoned veteran. Is what we're yeah. This is and here's what concerns me the most of all the COVID stuff, and maybe you've seen some evidence of this in just talking with teachers around Texas and just friends, and that is, the best teachers that we have, the ones that are just awesome. The reason they're in this game is because they love the relationship. They love the connection with the kid, and they love seeing the evidence that they're changing a kid's life, that they're making a difference. And the challenge that we have with this is all that payoff, the fuel. A lot of them just don't feel they're getting it. So like, that's the real reward for those kinds of teachers. That's how that's how they're getting paid for the job. And they just don't feel like they're getting paid. They don't feel like they're making a difference. Like, and now for some reason they can't see the evidence that it's working in the classroom. And I think as school leaders, man, that's why you guys come in just so important, and do such a good job of helping teachers stay inspired, stay connected with their passion and their purpose, and providing them the evidence, like pointing it out that it's working.
Oh yeah. And the magic is happening. Like, I have teachers, and there's room transformations, and everybody posts about those and how wonderful the wild card is. And this year you would think all that goes out the window. And we do have a student teacher on campus, and her cooperating teacher, they had contraction surgery, so they had their scrubs on and their doctor white coat jackets, and they still made those experiences for kids. And we don't expect that right now. I mean, that's the last thing that they have to be doing, but they're doing what they know and how to do it and make it the right experience for everybody.
It's amazing. I love it. And like that, those sorts of lessons that we turn into an event like that, like that's why the kid remembers forever. They'll remember that day, that lesson, and the outfit. They'll remember everything about surgery that day forever.
Absolutely.
I know maybe you're the same way. Like that, I don't remember a lot of facts for sure, but I remember big events. Absolutely. Yeah. Hey, who was it for you growing up as a kid, and looking back and one of those teachers that you still remember, and you still can picture what was happening in the classroom, still having fun, felt like you were connected to them?
I've had several, I would say. In kindergarten, I moved into the school mid-year, and so the teacher was new to the school too. And so every week there was a different student of the week that got picked, and everybody wrote a letter and drew a self-portrait of the student of the week. And, she put on there, it's okay to be new. You're just like me. And so, my eyes just lit up because I was just like her. And, that just made me want to be there. In fourth grade, I had a teacher, Miss Miller, and everybody was like, "Oh, you don't want Miss Miller. Like, she's the worst teacher." And so, I go in prep that I was about to have the worst teacher. And she was one of my absolute favorites because she followed the rules. If you didn't follow the rules, that's when you got in trouble. And then at the end of the week, if you were good all week, you got a Jolly Rancher or a Atomic Fireball to
Woo!
leave for the weekend. You got to choose your flavor.
There you go. You and I were very different students. Apparently, you love following the rules and getting Atomic Fireball. I would not have fired.
Yes.
Yeah, I would not have followed the rules, and I would stolen both the Jolly Rancher and the Fireball and ran out and dealt with the consequences on Monday morning. I think is probably how I would have handled that. Hey, for those schools that are in that same situation, you guys, where you have the kids are in school and you have and some virtually, and man, would is there any advice, anything at all that you would tell teachers right now?
I would say talk to your teacher buddies, talk to your family, make sure you still have that time for your connectedness. That's this weekend. I completely disengaged. We went to a little house in the hill country and no Wi-Fi, hardly any cell service, no cable. It was amazing to just get away, take a break, because it feels like the emails are never ending. Everything is changing. And so it's nice to just set pause, reflect, love on your friends, your family, and then get back to the grind. You're re-energized to start.
Yeah. All right. All right. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to throw the names into the randomizer. Let's see. Let's give away some money. You ready? Here we go. And it is, oh my gosh, I always get nervous because it's like the first day of school. Like I start reading down the names. I know there's going to be one I can't pronounce. So anytime I do this, I always think I know for sure it's going to come up with something I can't pronounce. All right. We have a winner. $50 Amazon gift card goes out to Antoinette Townsend Bishop. How cool is that? All right, Antoinette, all you have to do is send a message to the Help a Teacher Facebook page, and they'll get you set up with all the details you need to collect your gift card and do something nice for you and your classroom and your kids. Pretty cool deal. All right, Almanza, the Monza, as I've heard. By the way, from now on, people ask me what my first car was. It was a Chevy Monza, but I'm gonna tell it was Chevy Almanza. So I'm gonna tell people from now on.
All right. Yes, some people like to change my name a little bit.
Hey, listen, I can't wait. I'm coming to your school a week from today. Is that right?
Wednesday.
A week from Wednesday. And a week from Wednesday, and I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait to see the Hermes homies, and maybe I'll come a little early and we can kind of look around and see what kids are doing. It'll be fun. Man, if there's any kind of surgery that day, I want in on it for sure.
I'll see if we can repeat.
I love it. All right. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I really, really appreciate you. And I love all that you have going on, and love what you're doing. Love your school. Love you. And my best to you and the hubs and all the homies at Hermes.
So you had a few watching. I appreciate you tonight and everybody watching. Happy Monday.
Thank you so much. Take care.